Imagine that your whole life right now is not just the real world, but a movie playing inside your consciousness. You look at the screen and see your job, your home, your bills, the news, prices in the supermarket, traffic on the highway, but you miss the main thing. You are the one who keeps hitting play. Not in a sci-fi matrix way with wires and capsules, but in a much simpler sense. Your reality is your personal simulation, a projection of how you see yourself and the world. And while you think everything is controlled by the economy, politics, luck, or other people's decisions, the script is quietly being written by your own awareness. You wake up in your house or apartment, grab your phone, open social media, and see someone in Los Angeles or Miami living a bright life, traveling, making big money, posting perfect photos. Then you look at your own situation, at the job that doesn't really inspire you, at the credit card you need to pay off again, at the anxiety in your chest, and you tell yourself you're just unlucky, that this is life. But it's not just a pile of external circumstances, it's a reflection of who you believe you are. Reality is basically asking you every day, who are you? And then giving you proof that your answer is right. This idea has actually been around for a long time in the same spiritual texts people in America are used to hearing about. In the Gospel of John it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and all things were made through it." If you take away the dogma and look at it as a principle, another question appears. What is that first word at the beginning of everything? In the Old Testament, when Moses asks God, "What is your name?" the answer is, "I am that I am." In other words, I am. That is the original word. I am. I exist. I am this. Modern author Neville Goddard, who's still quoted in manifestation and self-help books in the US, explained it in very simple language. I am is consciousness, pure awareness of being, and everything that happens in life is born from how that consciousness defines itself. God, in this view, creates himself by contemplating himself as something. First comes I am, and then comes the continuation. I am this kind of person, in this kind of reality, with these possibilities. Here is the powerful part, that I am is not just about some abstract God in the sky. It's about you, personally. Every time you say inside yourself, I am, and add something after it, you are writing code for your simulation. I am a loser in this job. I am a person who is always in debt. I am someone who never gets lucky in relationships. I am the one who always has health problems. You might not say it out loud, but if that's how you feel deep down, your reality simply confirms that formula. Someone else lives in the same country, under the same news, with the same phone and the same economy, but inside they say, I am someone who figures things out. I am worthy of good money. I am the kind of person who always finds a way. I am capable of changing my life. And step by step, their simulation starts to shift around that inner image. They notice different opportunities, respond differently to problems, make different choices. From the outside it looks like they're just lucky or had better connections, but underneath it's the same principle, I am. The main point of this first part is simple. You're not just a character in somebody else's game called the system, the job market, or the US economy. You're not a chess piece that circumstances move around the board. You are the screen, the projector, and the scriptwriter at the same time. That phrase, "in the beginning was the Word," is about you personally. At the beginning of your personal reality, there is always how you define yourself from the inside. As long as you see yourself as a random victim of circumstances, your simulation will keep throwing you situations that prove you right. But the moment you admit that the movie is playing inside and that its ending depends on your I am, you don't get a magic wand. You get something stronger, the responsibility and the power to start changing the script. Now let's see how this I am principle actually shows up in a normal American life. Not in theory, but in your everyday routine. Imagine a regular weekday. You wake up, grab your phone, open Instagram or TikTok, and scroll through videos of people driving Teslas in LA, living by the beach in Florida, working remotely from some cool coffee shop in Austin. In your head, a quiet voice says, "Yeah, must be nice, but that's not my life. I'm just stuck in this job, in this city, with these bills." You might not literally say, "I am stuck," but you feel it, and that feeling is exactly your I am in action. Take money, for example. One person deep down repeats to themselves, "I am bad with money. I am always behind. I am not the kind of person who can make a lot." They may never say it out loud, but they feel ashamed when checking their bank account. nervous when opening their banking app, guilty every time they spend. What does their simulation do? It keeps giving them situations where that identity looks true. Unexpected expenses, poor decisions, impulse buys, jobs they hate but feel they have to keep. Same country, same economy, but the filter, "I am bad with money," keeps running, and reality happily plays along. Another person in that same town, maybe even on the same street, builds a different inner statement. "I am someone who is learning to handle money wisely. I am capable. I am worthy of being paid well." At first, their external situation may be almost identical. Same debt, same paycheck, same rent. But inside, the story is changing. Because of that new "I am," they start to act differently. They read one good book on finances instead of doom scrolling. They track their spending for the first time. They apply for a better job instead of assuming no one would hire me. They say yes to a small side project they would have ignored before. Bit by bit, their simulation begins to reorganize itself around this new identity. The same pattern appears in relationships. One person quietly carries the belief, "I am hard to love. I am the one who always gets hurt. I am never chosen." With that inner script, they either tolerate toxic behavior just to not be alone, or, on the contrary, push away anyone decent because deep down it doesn't match their story. The result? More examples that seem to prove they're doomed to heartbreak. Another person with the same dating apps, same pool of people, same city might hold the identity, "I am worthy of respect. I am someone who can build a healthy relationship." They also face disappointments and failed dates, but they react differently. They set boundaries earlier, walk away faster when something is wrong, don't chase the people who keep them at arm's length. Over time, this different "I am" literally filters who stays in their life and who doesn't. Look at health. One person thinks and feels, "I am just an unhealthy person. My family is like this. I always get sick. That's just who I am." And so they treat their body as something that is already lost. Fast food by default. No sleep, no movement, a constant story of, "I just don't have the energy." Another person, with the same genetics and living in the same food environment, chooses a different inner label. "I am someone who takes care of my body. I am becoming healthier every month." At first, it's just a sentence, maybe even a little shaky, but under that sentence, new behaviors slowly appear. A daily walk, a bit more water, one small change in food, instead of trying to change everything overnight. The external conditions may look very similar, but the simulation they live in is not the same, because the "I am" behind it is different. Picture two people in the same American city, working in the same office building. They both deal with inflation, rent, traffic, the same political news cycle. On paper, their lives look almost identical, but inside, one lives with the constant message, "I am powerless in this system," while the other carries, "I am responsible for my life, and I can change my path." The first one will see every problem as proof that the world is against them. The second will see the same problems as reasons to grow, to learn, to look for a better option. They will Google different things, talk to different people, notice different chances. Give them a few years, and these two simulations will look like two different worlds. This is how the "I am" principle actually works day to day. It doesn't magically drop money from the sky or make everything easy. It changes who you are being in your own story. And when the main character changes, the whole plot of the movie can't stay the same. From the outside, it looks like they're just lucky or had better connections. But underneath, it's the same principle. I am. The main point of this first part is simple. You're not just a character in somebody else's game called the system, the job market, or the US economy. You're not a chess piece that circumstances move around the board. You are the screen, the projector, and the scriptwriter at the same time. That phrase, "in the beginning was the word," is about you personally. At the beginning of your personal reality, there is always how you define yourself from the inside. As long as you see yourself as a random victim of circumstances, your simulation will keep throwing you situations that prove you right. But the moment you admit that the movie is playing inside and that its ending depends on your "I am," you don't get a magic wand. You get something stronger, the responsibility and the power to start changing the script. Now let's talk about what to actually do with all of this. It's not enough to just nod along and say, "Yeah, mindset matters." If your life is a simulation that responds to your I am, then the first real step is to see clearly which I am you've been running up to this moment. Most people never do this. They live on autopilot. They speak about themselves in a lazy, automatic way and don't notice how brutally they write their own script. Listen to how you talk about yourself to friends, online, even just in your thoughts when you're driving or taking a shower. I'm always late. I'm not a morning person. I'm bad with money. I'm awkward. I'm too old for that. These sound like harmless phrases, but each one is a tiny line of code that keeps your simulation stuck in the same version. The first practical move is awareness. During the next few days, catch yourself every time you mentally finish the sentence, I am. Pay attention to the tone, to the emotional flavor. Are you talking about yourself with respect or with quiet self-sabotage? You don't have to fight these sentences at once, just see them. Maybe you're driving to work, sitting in traffic, and the thought pops up, I'm so behind in life. Instead of drowning in it like usual, you mentally pause and think, interesting, there's my old I am again. This small distance already weakens its power because you're no longer fully merged with that identity. You start to see that it is just a habit, not a fact carved in stone. The second move is choosing a new I am, not in a fake delusional way, but as a direction. You don't have to jump from I am broke to I am a millionaire in one step. That usually feels like a lie, and your whole system rejects it. You can choose something honest but empowering, like I am someone who is learning to handle money wisely, or I am becoming a healthier person, or I am a person who creates new opportunities. The key is that your new I am points you forward, not backwards. It speaks about who you are becoming, not about the version of you that you're tired of carrying. The third move is to feed this new identity in small, concrete ways. Words alone are powerful, but when they are supported by action, the simulation starts to shift much faster. If your new inner statement is, I am someone who takes care of my body, then you start proving it to yourself with tiny steps. You park a bit farther and walk. You drink water instead of another soda. You go to bed 30 minutes earlier. None of this is about perfection. It's about alignment. Your actions matching your new I am, even if only by a few percent at first. If your new identity is, I am a person who grows and learns, you might listen to one podcast about a useful topic instead of numbing yourself with random noise. You might spend 20 minutes in the evening building a skill instead of scrolling until your brain is empty. Another important point is repetition. Your old I am has been repeated for years. It is wired into your nervous system. You've practiced being that character thousands of times. So don't expect that one new sentence will erase all of that overnight. Think of yourself like software that you are updating. Every time you consciously choose the new I am in your thoughts, words, and reactions, you are installing the new version. When you're alone in your car, instead of running the usual inner complaints, you quietly repeat to yourself your new definition. When you look in the mirror, you catch the old, I am ugly, I am not enough, and gently replace it with, I am growing into someone I respect. I am becoming someone I'm proud of. It may feel awkward at first, but awkward is normal when you're changing old code. Finally, be ready for the world to test your new identity. The moment you decide, I am someone who values myself, don't be surprised if life sends you situations where you have to actually prove it. Maybe someone crosses your boundary. Maybe an opportunity comes up that scares you. In those moments, your choice matters more than any affirmation. The old you would stay silent or say no. The new I am takes a different step, even if your voice shakes. This is how the simulation understands that you are serious. You're not just saying new words, you're being a new person. And when you change who you are being, the reality around you cannot help but start shifting to match. From the outside, it looks like they're just lucky or had better connections, but underneath, it's the same principle. I am. The main point of this first part is simple. You're not just a character in somebody else's game called the system, the job market, or the US economy. You're not a chess piece that circumstances move around the board. You are the screen, the projector, and the scriptwriter at the same time. That phrase, in the beginning was the word, is about you personally. At the beginning of your personal reality, there is always how you define yourself from the inside. As long as you see yourself as a random victim of circumstances, Your simulation will keep throwing you situations that prove you right. But the moment you admit that the movie is playing inside and that its ending depends on your I am, you don't get a magic wand. You get something stronger, the responsibility and the power to start changing the script. Now it's time to put everything together. Changing your I am is not a cute trick or a 5-minute exercise. It's a process of moving from being a character who reacts to life into being the author who shapes the storyline. And every author knows, even the best script doesn't instantly turn into a finished movie. There's filming, editing, reshoots, mistakes, and a lot of patience. Your life works the same way. The moment you choose a new identity, the old simulation doesn't disappear overnight. It keeps running by inertia for a while. Old circumstances, old bills, old habits, old people around you may still be there. It's easy in that moment to say, "See? Nothing is changing. This is all nonsense." But that's like yelling at the movie screen while ignoring the fact that the projector behind you is still playing the old file. Your job is not to argue with the screen. Your job is to keep changing what's happening in the projector room. In your thoughts, your reactions, your daily choices. When something unpleasant happens, the old identity will try to grab the wheel. I am cursed. I am unlucky. I am back to square one. Instead, you can catch that and quietly answer from your new I am. No. I am someone who is learning, growing, and handling this differently now. That doesn't mean you pretend everything is perfect or suppress real emotions. It means you feel what you feel, but you refuse to label yourself as the victim of the scene you're in. You remind yourself that this is just one frame in a much longer movie, and the main character is changing. Every choice you make in these moments is like switching tracks in your personal reality. You might not see it right away, but internally, you are stepping from one version of the story to another. You choose to send that email instead of procrastinating. You choose to say no to what drains you. You choose to reach out for help instead of isolating. You choose to treat yourself with a little more respect than yesterday. From the outside, these actions can look small and boring, but from the inside of the simulation, they are huge. They signal that your I am is no longer the same. You are no longer the person who automatically repeats the same old pattern. You're becoming the person who notices, chooses, and directs. At some point, you will look around and realize that your outer world has started to reflect your inner shift. Maybe your circle of people changes. Maybe your income looks different. Maybe your body, your energy, your confidence feels new. Many people will say you got lucky, or that something just clicked for you. Only you will know how many quiet, invisible decisions, thoughts, and I am corrections stood behind that change. The simulation feels like magic from the outside, but on the inside it's just consistent alignment. Identity arrow choices, arrow reality. So here is the invitation. You don't need to fix your whole life at once. You don't need to rewrite every area today. Choose just one sphere that hurts the most or matters the most right now. Money, health, relationships, self-worth, your work. Be brutally honest about the I am you've been carrying there. Then consciously write a new one. A sentence that feels a little bigger than you, but still real enough to walk toward. I am someone who. And then describe the version of you you'd actually be proud to live as. Put that sentence where you will see it. Read it when you wake up, when you're in the car, before you fall asleep. Back it up with small choices that match it. You are not just a random extra in a movie called Life in America. You are the main character, and whether you've realized it or not, you've always been the writer as well. The simulation you live in is not fixed. It listens carefully to every I am you repeat and builds scenes around it. The question is not whether this is working. It's already working, all the time. The real question is, are you going to keep running the old script, or are you finally ready to sit in the director's chair and write a new one? From the outside, it looks like they're just lucky or had better connections, but underneath, it's the same principle. I am. The main point of this first part is simple. You're not just a character in somebody else's game called the system, the job market, or the US economy. You're not a chess piece that circumstances move around the board. You are the screen, the projector, and the scriptwriter at the same time. That phrase, "in the beginning was the word," is about you personally. At the beginning of your personal reality, there is always how you define yourself from the inside. As long as you see yourself as a random victim of circumstances, your simulation will keep throwing you situations that prove you right. But the moment you admit that the movie is playing inside and that its ending depends on your I am, you don't get a magic wand, you get something stronger, the responsibility and the power to start changing the script.